In this session, first I will discuss about the adjoint matrix. The adjoint matrix is said to be a matrix. It is formed by obtaining the transpose of a matrix, including the cofactors for a given matrix. Therefore, if you can identify the cofactors for a matrix, and if you are taking the transpose of the matrix which includes the cofactors for a given matrix, then such matrix is meant to be an adjoint matrix. Therefore, when we are going to look about this adjoint matrix, first we need to identify what is actually or how we are obtaining these cofactors. Once we have obtained the cofactors, and then we can simply obtain the adjoint matrix by taking the transpose of the matrix which includes the cofactors. Apart from this, first we will discuss about the minors and cofactors of a square matrix. Therefore, prior to learn about the adjoint matrix, first I will discuss about the cofactors. Actually, if I briefly explain it in this way, okay, I told you that to obtain the adjoint matrix, then we need the to obtain this we need the cofactors. To obtain the cofactors, what we need is there is another concept called obtaining the minus. Therefore, if you need to obtain the adjoint matrix, first we need to obtain the minus of that matrix, and then using the minus we can obtain the cofactors, and thereafter using the cofactors we can simply obtain the adjoint matrix. Therefore, this is the process of obtaining the adjoint matrix for a given matrix, and we are obtaining these adjoint matrix for the square matrices, and therefore we will discuss the obtaining minus and cofactors for the square matrices. In this session, I will limit it for a 3 by 3 matrix only. I am not going to discuss it for any higher order dimension or the matrices with higher order higher dimensions apart from 3 by 3 matrix. Okay, first we will look about what is how to obtain the minus and cofactors for a given square matrix. Suppose that you have given a square matrix and it is named as A, and if you are considering the elements, then we can write it our square matrix A using the general form. It is Aij. Here I am saying that I is going from 1 to n and j is going from 1 to n. It is because this is a square matrix, therefore number of rows and number of columns should be equal. Therefore, here we will get an n by n matrix, and we can write it in the general form in Aij. And if you expand it, you know how to write the expansion of this. We have discussed previous sessions as well. A11, A12, likewise up to A1n, then A21, A22, likewise A2n. Similar manner, here we'll get AN1, AN2, likewise we'll get ANN. Therefore, this is the n by n matrix that we are getting as our square matrix. Suppose that this is the square matrix we are having, then if you are consider for each entry Aij, here consider about each entry Aij is associated with a concept called the minor, what we are naming as the Mij. It means that for each Aij or for each entry, it will have a minor, what we are naming it as Mij. And this minor can be taken by obtaining the determinant of the matrix obtained by the deleting the ith row and jth column of the matrix A. If I explain it using a 3 by 3 matrix, it is quite here we can see that it is written in this way. Here we can see matrix A is given as A1 B1 C1, A2 B2 C2, A3 B3 C3. Then since we are having 9 elements, then there should be 9 minus for this matrix. Number of elements is equal to, or the number of minus should be equal to, number of minus is equal to the number of elements in the matrix. Therefore, now you can see that there are 9 elements. Therefore, there should be 9 minus for this matrix. And in previously, I have told that for each entry, there will be a minor, and it can be obtained by taking the determinant of the matrix after deleting the ith row and jth column. In simply, if you are considering an element, the row and the column contains that element has to be omitted, and then we have to take the determinant of the remaining part of the, or the remaining element of the considered matrix. Here, if you are considering the minor for A1, what we have to do is, first we have to omit the row and column associated with that. Therefore, we can take the minor of A1 by taking the determinant of B2, C2, B3, and C3. Therefore, here we know that it is simply obtaining the determinant of 2 by 2 matrix. Therefore, we can take the difference of the product of the diagonal element. Then this can be taken as B2C3 minus B3C2. Therefore, the minor associated with A1 is B2C3 minus B3C2. In similar manner, we can obtain the minor for B2. Here I will take another example. It is obtaining minor for B2. If you are considering B2, then we have to remove the elements which are in the row, which includes in the row and column where this B2 lies. Therefore, we know that the remaining elements are A1, C1, A3, and C3. This should be corrected as A1. Therefore, this minor associated with B2 is obtained by taking the determinant of A1, C1, A3, C3. To obtain the determinant, we can simply take the difference of the product of the diagonal elements. Then the minor associated with B2 will be equal to A1, C3 minus A3, C1. Therefore, here I have taken only 2 examples. And if I consider another example on about this, if I consider another one, suppose I am taking, I need to take the minor for this C3. Suppose I need to take the minor for C3, then what I have need to do is I need to omit the row and column associated with C3. Therefore, we know that the remaining elements are A1, B1, A2, and B2. Then the minor associated with C3 can be taken by obtaining the determinant for this 2 by 2 matrix. Therefore, simply we can take it as A1 B2 minus A2 B1. This is the way of obtaining the minus. Therefore, here we can see that there are altogether 9 elements. Since we are having 9 elements, there should be 9 minus for this matrix. Once you obtain the minus, then to obtain the adjoint matrix, then we need to obtain the cofactors. Using the minus, we are able to obtain the cofactors. When we are obtaining the cofactors using minus, then we can simply use this equation. But rather than using the equation, we are seeking for an alternative method. It is because of the complexity of the understanding of this equation. But if you simply look about that, this will be also easy for us. But for the calculation, using sign pattern will be much more easier than this. But you can use one of the methods for solving it. If you are using the equation, then the equation says that here Cij is the cofactor. It means that for each entry Aij, there is a minor. Since we are having minus, then there should be a number of or the number of cofactors which are equal to the number of minus. Therefore, once you name the cofactors as Cij, it will be equal to minus 1 to the power I plus j times mij, where mij is the minor that you have identified for the entry aij. Therefore, if I write it here, then if you are obtaining the cofactors, then we can say that number of cofactors is equal to the number of minuses. Therefore, number of elements or the number of cofactors is equal to number of minus is equal to number of elements in the given matrix. As an example, if you consider about this matrix A, we have identified that there are 9 minors, therefore there should be 9 cofactors as well. To find out the cofactors, you can simply use this equation, or else here in this session I will not going to discuss about using this equation. Apart from using the equation, I will combine the sign pattern with minus to obtain the cofactors. Okay. When we are going to obtain the cofactors using minus, there is a concept called the sign pattern. We are using the sign pattern for cofactors. We can directly use the sign pattern and combine the sign pattern with minus to obtain the cofactors. If you are having a 3 by 3 matrix, the sign pattern for 3 by 3 matrix would be like this. It will be start from the plus sign, then minus sign has to be used, then plus, then you are starting from the second row will be starting from this end, and then it will be continue in this way, and the third row will be continued in this way. Now you can see that if you consider any two consecutive points, we will have the opposite signs in those positions. And now we will look it for the 4 by 4 matrix. The concept is same as previous. We start from the plus sign, then minus, plus and minus, then we have to come down, and then we'll get the second row signs in this way. Similarly, third row will be in this way, and fourth row can be written in this way. This is the simplest way of writing down the sign pattern. Therefore, this is for 3 by 3. It is for 3 by 3 matrix, and this sign pattern is for 4 by 4 matrix. But for our calculations, we will stick with these 3 by 3 matrices only. Therefore, we are not going to worry about the sign pattern for 4 by 4 matrix. To obtain the cofactors, I told that we have to combine the sign pattern with the minus. Here I have include this cofactor, the matrix including the cofactors, rather than saying it as C11, C12, C13, C21, C22, C23, C31, C32, C33. This is how we are forming the cofactor matrix. Then it would be equal to this matrix. It is because to obtain the cofactors, we are combining the sign pattern. We are combining the sign pattern and sign pattern with the minus obtained. Therefore, by combining sign pattern and minus, we can obtain cofactors. Then we can see that since it is a 3 by 3 matrix, first should be a plus. That is why it is plus times M11. Then minus times M12 is used. Then again plus times M13 is used. Then minus times M23, plus times M22, minus times M23. In a similar way, the third row for the 3 by 3 matrix has obtained. And in this note, it is given for the cofactors for a 4 by 4 matrix, but I am not going to discuss about the obtaining cofactors for 4 by 4 matrices in this session. And now we will, this is the theory behind the obtaining or the calculation process or calculation steps of obtaining the joint matrix by using or by obtaining the minus, sign pattern and the cofactors. Okay, now we will consider about finding the value for a joint matrix. Here we are given a matrix which is a 3 by 3 matrix having the elements 0 to having the elements as 0 to 1, 3 minus 1 and 2, 4, 0 and 1. Now we will see how we can perform this calculation and obtain the adjoint matrix. Okay. Now I will show you how we can perform this calculation. First, I will write down the matrix which we have considered. Here, I will write down the matrix. Yeah, having the matrix as matrix A. Matrix A contains the elements 0 to 1, 3, minus 1 and 2, 4, 0 and 1. This is the matrix I am having. It is a 3 by 3 matrix. Here it is asked to obtain the adjoint matrix, and the adjoint matrix can be, or it is denoted using the notation, and here we need to identify the adjoint matrix. To obtain the adjoint matrix, we need to follow this procedure. First we need to obtain the minus, and then we need to identify the sign pattern. Then combining the minus with sign pattern, then we can obtain the cofactors. Then we have to write down the cofactors inside matrix, and then we have to take the transpose of that matrix. We have to take the transpose of that matrix to um, obtain the adjoint matrix for the given square matrix. Now we'll see how we can perform this calculation. Here the matrix has 9 elements altogether. It has 9 elements. Therefore, there should be 9 minus associated with this matrix. Therefore, if I write down the minus, it is M11. M11 can be obtained by considering it is M11 means the first row, first column element. Then we have to cut down the row and column associated with that. Therefore, the remaining elements are minus 1, 2, 0 and 1. Therefore, if I write down the values, M11 can be obtained by this taking the determinant of minus 1, 2, 0 and once you perform the calculation, you will get it as minus 1 minus 0, which equals to minus 1. Then we can take the value for M12. M12 can be obtained using it is the 1 2 means first row second column. Then you have to select the element there, cut down the row and column associated with that element. Then we have to take the determinant of the remainings. It is 3 2 4 and 1. Therefore, once you take the determinant of the remaining, then we'll get this value, or we can get it as 3 2 4 and 1. The multiplication gives the value as 8 minus 3 itself equal to plus 5. Then we have to take the value for M13. M13 means it should be in the first row, third column. This should in the first row, third column. The element is this. Therefore, we have to cut down the row and the column associated with this. Then we need to take the determinant of the remaining elements. It is the determinant of 3 minus 1, 4 and 0. The values are 3 minus 1, 4 and then we'll get this value as 0 minus 4 itself equal to plus 4. Then M21 is needed to be calculated. M21 in the sense the element in the second row first column. For this is the element. Then we need to cut down the row and column. Therefore, the remaining elements are 2 1 0 and 1. 2, 1, 0 and 1. 2, 1, 0 and 1. Value should be 2 minus 0 equals to plus 2. Similar manner, we can obtain the value for M22. To obtain the value for M22, we need to cut down the row and column associated with the element in second row, second column. Then values are 0, 1, 4 and 1. Values are 0, 0, 1, 4 and 1. 0, 1, 4 and 1. Then we'll get the values as 0 minus 4 equals to minus 4. Then we need to get the value for M23. Part of the second row with third column, values will be 0, 2, 4 and 0. It will be 0 minus 8 equals to the value as minus 8. Second row, third column. Similar manner, we can obtain the values for M31. Third row with first column, values would be 2, 1, minus 1 and 2. Then you'll get this as 4 minus minus 1 is 4 plus 1 equals to 5. M32. M32 means third row, second column. Then we'll get it as 0, 1, third row, second column. Then it is value is 3. You'll get this as 0 minus 3 equals to minus 3. Similar manner, we can get the M33 value should be 0, 2, 3 and minus. Then we'll get this as 0 minus 6 equals to minus 6. Therefore, now we have identified all the minors. Then for the easiness of calculation, I will write down all the minors inside the matrix. It is just for the easiness of the calculation, and when I'm writing down the minors, I'm not going to change their places. Therefore, starting from the minor for row 1, column 1, then we can include the matrix which includes the minus. Then we'll get the minus as minus 1, plus 5, 4, 2, minus 4, minus 8, 5, minus 3 and minus 6. This is the minus that we have obtained. This matrix contains the minus, but it is not necessary to write down. For the easiness of calculation, I have written it. And as the next part, I have to identify the sign pattern for 3 by 3 matrix. Sign pattern, we can combine the sign pattern and minus to obtain cofactors. Therefore, sign pattern for 3 by 3 matrix. So the sign pattern suggests us that it is start from plus, then we'll get the sign pattern for the matrix in this way. Now what we need to do is if you consider about the calculation steps, we have completed the obtaining minus. Now we have identified the sign pattern. Then we need to obtain the cofactors. To obtain the cofactors, we can combine the sign pattern with minus. Therefore, if I write down the matrix include cofactors, then if I name it as C, then I can write it as the first sign is plus, then the sign pattern combined with the minus, then value is minus 1. According to sign pattern, second value of the second column, first row, second column value should be have the sign as minus, then the value for the minor is plus 5. Then sign is plus, value is 4. Minus with 2, plus with minus 4, minus with minus 8, then plus with 5, minus with minus 3, plus with minus. Now we have combined here we know that if I use another color apart from this, I will write the values in this way. The first sign is always for the sign coming from the sign pattern, and the value inside the bracket is the minor that we are considering. Therefore, now we can solve this to obtain the answer. Therefore, the C will be equal to, now we can write it as -1, 5, 4, -2, -4, +8, +5, +3, and -6. Therefore, this is the matrix which contains the cofactors. Now we have identified the cofactors as well. And then as the last part, we need to obtain the transpose of the matrix. Therefore, we can take the transpose of this matrix C as the adjoint matrix. Therefore, we can write it as the adjoint of matrix A, which is denoted as this ADJA. ADJ stands for the adjoint, and A is the matrix that we are using. Then this is equal to the transpose of this matrix. It is -1, 5, 4, -2, -4, 8, 5, 3, and -6. And we have take the transpose of this matrix. Transposing of the matrix is interchanging the rows as column, and is a slight mistake I have done. Here this should be corrected as 3 minus 8. This should be corrected. Here the value should be corrected as 3 minus 8. Value is -5. Therefore, here we have to consider with -5, and then we are getting the same value. Here there is a mistake. I have just interchanged the rows for multiplication, the diagonals. Therefore, 3 minus 8, it is -5. Therefore, the minus should be combined with minus. Then it should be minus with -5. Take the value as +5. Then once I take the transpose of this matrix, it will be equal to -1. First row becomes first column, -1, 5 and 4. This is -2, -4 and 8. Here it is 5, 3 and -6. Therefore, this is the matrix we are getting as the adjoint of the matrix. This is how we are getting the adjoint matrix for given square matrix. Now we will move for here. This is the answer we are getting, and here another exercise is given for you. You can try by yourself to obtain the minus and cofactors for the matrix, and you are asked to obtain the adjoint of the matrix. And now we will move for the obtaining the inverse of matrix. When we are considering about the inverse of matrix, we are defining or we are obtaining the inverse only for the square matrices. We are not going to identify the inverse for the rectangular array of numbers. Therefore, we'll suggest that A is a matrix having n number of rows and n number of columns, and we may let I be an identity matrix having the order n. It is simply n by n, a matrix having the diagonal elements as 1 and all the other elements as 0. And we say that if there exists a matrix A inverse, in the term it says that if there exists, it means that sometimes there may not be existence of the inverse. That is why this term is used if there exists a matrix A inverse. Therefore, suppose that for some matrices there is no inverse exists. Therefore, if the inverse is exist, then we can see this equality. If you are multiplying the matrix with its inverse, it will be equal to the identity matrix. And here we know that A is n by n matrix, then identity matrix also with the order n. Therefore, we can say that A inverse also having the order as n by n. And if you interchange these places, here also we will get the same answer. A inverse into A, this will be equal to I. Therefore, by combining this, we can say that A times A inverse is equal to A inverse times A. Therefore, this is the next equality we can obtain. But once you consider about the matrix multiplication, I told you that in generally, AB does not equal to BA. In generally, we have identified that in the previous session. Previous sessions, I have mentioned about this multiplication. For the matrix multiplication, in general, we are not getting AB equals BA. But if you define this B as the inverse of the matrix, then this equality exists. Therefore, if B equals A inverse, then we'll get this as AB equals BA itself equal to A times, instead of B we can say it as A inverse. Therefore we'll get this as A times A inverse is equal to A inverse times A. And we are using this notation to denote A inverse, and it is pronounced as the inverse of A. Therefore, when I am discussing about the multiplication, I told you that there is some special cases that we are getting the equality of these multiplication even though we are changing their places. If it getting this matrix B as the inverse of the first matrix, then we are getting the equality that AB equals BA. And when we are going to identify the inverse of a matrix, first we need to check the check whether the inverse exists or not. Therefore, there are some matrices which exist the inverse, and there are some others which does not exist the inverse of that matrix. Therefore, prior to obtaining the inverse of a matrix, first we need to check whether the inverse exists or not. Therefore, to obtain or to check whether the inverses exist or not, we can simply use the technique that we have learned as the determinant of matrix. I will discuss about the checking of the existence of finding the existence of inverse later, and prior to that I will just say about the invertibility and the singular matrices here. Okay, if we are going to find out the inverse of a matrix, first we need to check whether inverse exists or not. And if a matrix has an inverse, then such matrix is called as the invertible matrix, or we are saying such matrices as non-singular. If the matrix, if the inverse exists, such are said to be non-singular matrices or the invertible matrices. Otherwise, we are saying the matrix A is non-invertible, or we are saying such matrix as the singular matrix, non-invertible or singular matrix. Therefore, we can say that it is not the non-singular. Therefore, we can say that a singular matrices cannot have an inverse. If matrix is a singular matrix, it cannot be have the inverse. Therefore, that is why it says that if there exists a matrix, it means that sometimes the inverse does not exist. Therefore, in such situation, we cannot find out the inverse. Such matrices are said to be non-invertible, or we are saying those matrices as singular matrices. Now we'll see how we can obtain the inverse of matrix. First, I will discuss the obtaining inverse using the basic concept what we have mentioned here. This is the basic concept of obtaining the inverse of matrix. Therefore, first I will take it for a small matrix such as 2 by 2 matrix, a simple matrix. Here I am taking the matrix as matrix A. Matrix A is given as 1, 4, minus 3 and minus 1, which is a 2 by 2 matrix, and you are asked to find the inverse of this matrix A using the basic concept or the equation that A times A inverse equals I. Therefore, when we are going to identify the inverse of the matrix using this equation, the things you need to know is, we know that A is a matrix having 2 rows and 2 columns. Therefore, the A inverse also should have 2 rows and 2 columns. It is because the dimension of the inverse matrix will be same as the dimension of its initial matrix. As well as we need to identify the identity matrix. Identity matrix is also should be in the order 2, or it is simply having the this IS 2 by 2 matrix. And this identity matrix can be now considered as, since it is 2 by 2, the diagonals are ones and all the other elements are zeros. Therefore, this is what we are taking as the identity matrix of order 2. Here we are taking the order 2. It is because our initial matrix is also having the 2 rows with 2 columns. Therefore, now we'll write down the equation. We'll get the equation as A times A inverse equals I. And here I have mentioned the matrix A, including including its elements. Once you written inside the matrix, you will get it as 1, 4, minus 1 and minus 3. And still we do not know the elements of A inverse. Therefore, I will use the 4 unknown constants. It is A, B, C, and D to denote the elements of this matrix. Since we are having a 2 by 2 matrix, 4 elements are in this A inverse. Therefore, I have to use 4 unknown constants to denote the elements. And thereafter, we can say that this multiplication is equal to I, and it has already identified as 1, 0, 0, and 1, which is a 2 by 2 matrix. Now it is the concept of having the equal matrices. Here we can see for the left hand side we are having a matrix multiplication, and for the right hand side we are having a matrix. Therefore, when we are going to consider about the concept of equal matrices, using this multiplication, we may not be able to find out it easily. Therefore, as the first thing, what we need to do is we have to multiply these two matrices, and the multiplication of these two matrices gives us the result as a 2 by 2 matrix having the elements as A plus 4C, B plus 4D, minus A minus 3C, and minus B minus 3D. Therefore, this matrix is obtained using the multiplication of these two matrices. Therefore, the multiplication of these two matrices result the answer as this 2 by 2 matrix. Now we can see that for the left hand side we are having a 2 by 2 matrix, and for the right hand side we are having again a 2 by 2 matrix. Now it says that these two matrices are equal. If you consider the conditions of the equal matrices, it says that number of rows should be equal, number of columns should be equal, and then the corresponding elements should be equal. Therefore, now the first two conditions are satisfied. Therefore, to be equal matrices, now we can equate the corresponding elements. It is because we need to identify the values for A, B, and C and D. It is because these are the strange terms that we have used. It is not in the initial calculation. These are the additional terms that we have included for the calculation. Therefore, we need to find out the values values of these 4 unknown constants Once you know about the values of these four unknown constants, then we can easily find out the inverse of this matrix A. To find out these constant, we can construct four linear simultaneous equations. Here it is mentioned that this by corresponding equating the corresponding elements, then we will get this a plus 4c is equal to 1. It is the first equation that I have prepared. Then b plus 4d equals to 0. It is the second equation. Similar manner, I have used minus a minus 3c equals 0, then minus b minus 3d is equal to 1. Therefore, these are the set of equations that we were able to construct, and then we need to solve these four equations, and by solving these four equations we can obtain the value of a, b, c and d in this form. Thereafter, what we need to do is we have to include these uh, values inside the A inverse. It is because A inverse was identified as four elements A, B, C and D. Therefore, this can be written as A is equal to minus 3, B is equal to minus 4, C is equal to 1 and D is equal to 1. Therefore, this is the value that we are getting for the inverse of the matrix. When we are solving or when we are using this method for a 2 by 2 matrix, then we had four unknown constants to find out. To find out four unknown constant, we had to prepare four linear simultaneous equation and we have to solve them. But if you think about a 3 by 3 matrix, if you need to obtain the inverse of 3 by 3 matrix, then there should be altogether 9 elements. We need to find 9 elements. Mean 9 unknown constant has to be used. To find out these 9 unknown constant, we need to construct a set of 9 linear simultaneous equation. Therefore, it would not be possible or it would not be easy for calculate and solve this system of linear equations in such manner. Therefore, we are not going to use this method for furthermore. Therefore, we are seeking for an alternative method for finding the inverse, but this is the basic method of finding the inverse, and this can be used for any higher order matrix, but the computational steps will be much more lengthy. Therefore, to avoid that, we are seeking for an alternative method, and to find out, therefore, since this method is somewhat lengthy, for a 2 by 2 matrix, instead of using this method, we are attempt to use a simple formula to obtain the inverse. And this is the second method I am discussing. This method is only valid for 2 by 2 matrices. We cannot use this method for any higher order matrices. We can simply use this method to obtain the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix only. Therefore, if I have the matrix, suppose that I am having the matrix A, having the elements as A, B, C, and D. These are the four elements that I am having inside the matrix A. Suppose that I need to obtain the inverse of this matrix A. When we are going to obtain the inverse of this matrix A, I told you that initially we need to check whether the inverse exists or not. Inverse exists or not. To check whether inverse exists or not, what we can use is we can use the determinant of the matrix. By using the determinant of the matrix, we can identify whether the matrix is invertible or not, or it has the inverse or it does not have an inverse. Therefore, we can say that if A is invertible, if and only if it satisfies this condition. It means that if you are getting a determinant for a matrix which is not equal to 0, it means that it is a numeric value which is apart from 0, then we are saying that if this satisfies, then we say that A inverse exists. Therefore, Once you obtain the determinant of this matrix, and if it is exists, then we can, if it is not equal to 0, then we say that inverse of that matrix is exists. But if you are getting the determinant of A equals 0, then we can say that A inverse does not exist. A inverse does not exist, and thereafter we can terminate the calculation as well. Okay, now we need to first identify whether the A inverse exists or not. If the A inverse exists, then we have to move for the calculation. uh, I told you that this method is only valid for 2 by 2 matrices. Therefore, the equation can be written as A is equal to 1 over the determinant of A. Determinant of A can be obtained as AD minus BC. It can be obtained as AD minus BC, and then we are here determinant is the real value we are getting. Therefore, it is just 1 over a real value. Again, we are getting a scalar. Therefore, you have to have the scalar multiplication at this point. Therefore, if you consider simply of this calculation, you will get it as 1 over A, and then what you have to do is for the initial matrix you had the elements as A, B, C, and D. What you need to do is you have to interchange the places of the main diagonal elements. It is A and D has to be interchanged. Therefore, first value will become D and this value becomes A. Then the off diagonal elements has to be multiplied with minus sign. You are not going to change in their places. Just the multiplying with minus sign. Therefore, this value is minus B and this will become minus C. Therefore, we can use this equation as the equation to obtain the inverse of a matrix. Here exercise is given, but I will discuss this exercise as some examples of obtaining 2 by 2 matrices. If I take the first matrix here, if I write it, the first matrix is A. It is given as 3 minus 1 minus 2 and 2. First we need to check for the determinant. The determinant is, it is 3 by 2, 6 minus 2 into minus 1, it is plus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Now you can see that this is a value which is not equal to 0. Therefore, we can say that therefore A inverse exists. Since A inverse exists, we can move for the calculation. We can directly use the equation to obtain the inverse. Therefore, we'll write it as A inverse is equal to 1 over the determinant of A. Determinant of A is now equal to 4. Therefore, this value is 1 over 4. Then we need to interchange the places of the main diagonal element. Therefore, I have to interchange 3 and 2. Then first value becomes 2 and the latter value becomes 3. Then the off diagonal elements has to be multiplied with minus, then minus with minus 1 is plus 1, minus with minus 2 is plus 2. Therefore, this is what we need to solve for obtaining A inverse. The multiplication, or here it is simply a scalar multiplication. It would be equal to 1/4 1/4 multiplied with 2. You will get the value as half. Here we will get the 1/4. Again, we are getting the value as half, and here we getting the value as 3/4. And this is the inverse of the matrix A. Now, for similar manner, you can try for these two exercise or the two problems, and I will discuss the last one as well. Here we are asked to find out the inverse of the matrix D, which is given as 4, 3, 8, and 6. First, we need to check the inverse exists or not. Therefore, I can take the determinant of D. It is 4 times 6 minus 8 times 3. Then we are getting the value equals 0. Therefore, we can say that A inverse does not exist. Since Since A inverse does not exist, we can terminate the calculation from that point. Therefore, using the formula for 2 by 2 is quite simpler and easier than using the basic concept of obtaining the matrix using the basic concept. But for the higher order matrices also, using the basic concept is not easy. Therefore, what we can do is, for any given higher order matrix, we can obtain the inverse of the matrix by taking uh, the by using the equation adjoint of the matrix divided by the determinant of the matrix. Adjoint matrix of the initial matrix divided by the determinant gives us the inverse of that matrix. Therefore, when we are going to find out the inverse, here I will discuss it for 3 by 3 matrix as well. To find out the inverse, first we need to check whether inverse exists or not. Therefore, even though it is 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 or any higher order matrix, what we need to do is we need to uh, check whether the inverse exists or not. To check it, we can use the determinant of the matrix. Now you may understand why we are getting there is no inverse if the value becomes 0. It is because you can see that we have to have this multiplication as the 1 over 0. Therefore 1 over 0, we are not able to define a real value for this inverse of the matrix. It is quite simple, we can say it as infinity. That is why we are saying that if the determinant becomes 0, we are getting it as 1 over 0, and we are getting the value as infinity. That is why we are saying that the matrix inverse does not exist. Here this should be D inverse, not the A inverse. Okay, now we will move for obtaining the inverse of a matrix. To obtain the inverse of this matrix, we can perform the calculation steps in this way. Here matrix A is given as 1, minus 1, 0, 1, 0, and minus 1, 6, minus 2, and minus 3. If you ask to obtain the inverse of this matrix A, for here it is asked to obtain the inverse of matrix A, then the calculation procedures are, first we need to obtain the determinant of A. If determinant of A equals 0, then we can say that A inverse does not exist, and we can terminate the calculation at that point. But if you are getting, if the determinant of A does not equal to 0, then we have to move for the second calculation. If it is not equal to 0, then we have to move downward. If it is not equal to 0, we can say that this suggests that A inverse exists. Then we have to take the adjoint of the matrix A, and then we can use the equation that A inverse is equal to adjoint of the matrix A divided by the determinant of matrix A. Therefore, this is the calculation steps for obtaining the inverse of the matrix. Now we'll see how we can obtain the inverse. First, I have obtained the determinant of this matrix. Here, the determinant is obtained using the concept that we have discussed previously. The first row, first column value used, and then cut down the row and column, and then taken the determinant of the remaining elements. Therefore, the cross multiplication suggests this value as 0 minus 2. Minus 2 times minus 1 is plus 2. Then combined with minus, it will get as minus 2. Then we have to move for the next value, and it has to be connected with minus sign according to the theory. Minus times minus 1, cut down the row and column. Then value should be 1 times minus 3 minus 6 times minus 1. That is why we are getting minus 3 plus 6. Then 0 times this remaining values, third value connected with plus, and then it will getting as 0 times the determinant of the determinant, then it would be 1 times minus 2, then minus 0. Therefore, this part, the latter term becomes 0. Therefore, we'll get the addition of first two terms, minus 2 and plus 3. It gives the value as 1. That is why we can say that A inverse exists. It is because we are getting a value which is differ from 0. Since if the determinant is differ from 0, then we can say that A inverse exists. Since it is differ from 0, we can say that A inverse exists. Since A inverse is exist, then we need to obtain the adjoint matrix. In here, I will not describe of obtaining the adjoint matrix. I will say the calculation steps only. To obtain the adjoint matrix, what we can do is first we can obtain the minus, then we can identify the sign pattern, and thereafter by combining the minus with sign pattern we can obtain the cofactors and write down the cofactors inside the matrix, and we can take the transpose of that matrix to obtain the adjoint matrix. Therefore, using these four steps, I have obtained the adjoint matrix as this minus 2 minus 3 1 minus 3 minus 3 1 and minus 2 minus 4 and 1. Therefore, this is the adjoint matrix obtained. And now what we can do is we can write down the A inverse using this equation. But if I explain about this equation again, here it is given as A inverse is equal to adjoint of matrix A divided by the determinant of A. We know that adjoint of a matrix is again in the form of matrix, but the determinant is in the form of a real number. If you consider about the fraction, here it is given as 2 over 3. Suppose that you are taking this example. If you are having 2 over 3, what you can do is you can separate the numerator and denominator in this way. 1 over 3, it denotes the denominator, and then multiplied with 2 is the value in the numerator. Therefore, using this concept, what we can do is we can take it as 1 over, here we can take it as determinant of A, then multiply it with the adjoint of the matrix A. Multiply it with the adjoint of the matrix A. 1 over determinant A, it is quite like, suppose that if you are having the determinant as 1, then we'll get this as 1 divided by 1. Whereas if you are having 4, then it will become 1 over 4. Then you will have the adjoint matrix here. You will have 3 by 3 matrix. Then you can write down the values. Then it is quite simple like a scalar multiplication. But for our calculation, we have obtained the determinant as 1. That is why 1 over 1 time 1 divided by 1 times this adjoint matrix. Therefore, we can take the inverse of the matrix in this way. It would be exactly equal to adjoint matrix. It is because we have the determinant as 1. Therefore, we will get it as 1 over 1. Okay, this is an exercise given for obtaining the inverse, and you can try it by yourselves to be familiar with the obtaining the inverse of matrices. Okay, now I will move to the latter part of this matrices. Here we will discuss about the applications of matrices and determinants. As the application of the matrices and determinants, I will discuss about the Cramer's rule. And this Cramer's rule is a method that we are used to obtain the solution for system of linear equation. Suppose that you are having a system of linear equations. It is quite, if I take the simpler system, ax plus by equals c. Then if you are having this dx plus gy equals f. Likewise, if you are having two equations, then we can say this as system of linear equations. You all were familiar with these things. it is 2x plus 3y equals 1, 5x minus 4y equals 7. Then in the previous ages, you have be familiar with obtaining the answers for this type of simple set of linear equations. But now what we are going to do is we are going to convert the system of linear equations into matrices, and using the concepts of matrices and determinants, we have obtained the answers for this system of linear equations. And this method is called as the Cramer's rule. Therefore, if you are considering about Cramer's rule, suppose that you are having a system of n number of linear equations. Um, if you are having n number of variables, then there should be n number of linear equations to obtain the solutions for that system. It is because here we are using two equations. It is because we are having two variables to obtain the values. If you are having three variables, then minimum of three equations should be there. Therefore, if you are having n number of variables, then there should be n number of linear equations. If you are going to solve a system like this, then this will not be that much easy. Therefore, the easiest is converting this into a matrix, and using the Cramer's rule, we can obtain the solutions for the system of linear equations. If you are having a system or having this n number of linear equations to obtain the values for n number of variables, then we can construct or we can convert it into a matrix form, and then we will get a matrix including the coefficients. Then that matrix is named as A in the Cramer's rule, and it should have a non-zero determinant. I will explain about obtaining this coefficient matrix in the calculation laterly. Therefore, first I will discuss the theory, and then I will move for a calculation based on the Cramer's rule. Therefore, if you are having system of n linear equations having n variables, then we can construct a coefficient matrix, and we are generally naming it as matrix A. And we have to check whether the determinant of this coefficient matrix is 0 or not. If this determinant is a non-zero value, it means that if you are having a coefficient matrix as A, and if this value is non-zero, then we say that the system has finite solutions. That is why we are saying if and only if we are getting this as non-zero element, we can say that system have solutions. Therefore, the solution can be taken as, if it is this I number of variables, ith variable value is taken as determinant of ai divided by the determinant of A. Since we are having I number of variables, we are having n number of variables, the I goes from 1 to n. I goes from 1 to n. Therefore, this is the concept of Cramer's rule, and if I write it substituting I goes from 1 to n, we will get the first solution as determinant of a1 divided by determinant of a. X2 is determinant of a2 divided by determinant of a. Similarly, xn is equal to determinant of an divided by the determinant of a. Therefore, here we'll consider this matrix AI. Now you may have a question, what is actually this AI? The matrix AI is supposed to be a matrix having the coefficient, or it is simply quite similar as this matrix A, but we are replacing the ith column of this AI matrix by the constants of the system of equation. Therefore, using an example, I will explain how we can obtain the matrix AI and obtain the solution. And previously also I told you that if the coefficient matrix has a non-zero determinant, we are forming the calculation and we are proceeding it for the next stage. But if you are having the coefficient or the determinant of the coefficient matrix is 0, then we say that the system has either no solution or it has infinitely many solutions. Therefore, if we are getting determinant of A equals 0, then we say that we are saying the system has no solutions, or else we can say that system has infinitely many solutions, and by stating that we are terminating the calculation at that point. Okay, now we'll see an example related to this Cramer's rule. Here it is a simple set of variables have used, and here we are having two variables. For the explanations, I have used this as a 2 by 2 matrix. Here, the Cramer's rule is we have asked to use it. Therefore, if I write it here, the values will write it here. The first matrix, the first equation is 4x minus 2y equals 10. 4x minus 2y equals 10. Second equation is given as 3x minus 5y. 3x minus 5y equals 11. Here it is asked to use the Cramer's rule to solve this system of linear equation. When you are using the Cramer's rule, first we need to convert the system of linear equations into the matrix format. Therefore, once you convert the system of linear equation into a matrix format, then we'll get it in this form. It is Ax equals B, where x is a vector which contains the variable, and b is also a vector which contains the constant terms of the this system of linear equation, and a is said to be coefficient matrix. A is said to be the coefficient matrix. It is simply, we can say, this is a matrix which contains the coefficients of the variables. First, we'll see how we can convert our system of linear equations into a matrix format. When we are going to convert our system into a matrix format, first we need to align the similar variables in one column. Here we can see that we have considered our first variable as x and second variable as y. Therefore, if I just like tabulating it, then in the first column I am having the variables. Here it is the x variables in the first column, and y variables in the second column. Y variable, here it is minus 2 times y, then minus 5 times y, and this equals to here we are getting the constant terms 10 and 11. Therefore, here we can say that x variables are in the first column, y variables are in the second column. Therefore, we can simply convert it into the matrix format in this way. After conversion, you have to obtain the multiplication in this form. It is a times x times b. Here, first I will write down the vector x. It is the vector which contains our variable. Here, our first variable was considered as x, and second variable was considered as y. Therefore, I am using x here and y here. In the right hand side of the equation, I am having the constant terms. Therefore, I am having the values as 10 and 11 here. 10 and 11 here. Now I need to write down the constant or coefficient matrix, or matrix which is named as A. Therefore, Since I have used the first column as X and second column as Y, I can directly write down the values inside the matrix as it is. It is 4, -2, 3 and -5. It is because you have considered the first variable as X, therefore coefficients of that variable should be in the first column. The second variable was considered as y, therefore the coefficients associated with y variable should be in the second column. Therefore these are the coefficients of the x variable, here 4 and 3. Here the second column is the coefficients of y variable, -2 and -5. Here, if you check whether it is correct, what you have to do is you have to multiply these this bracket. Therefore, what you will get is multiplying the first row with first column. It is 4 times x plus -2 times y. It gives the value as 4x minus 2y, and the first value is equal to 10. Therefore, this part is not needed for calculation. For the confirmation, I have used it. It is 4 times x, it is 4x minus 2y. Then second one is second row with first column, it is 3x minus 5y, and here we can see that this is equal to 10 and 11. Then again we are getting e by equal matrices, 4x minus 2y equals 10, 3x minus 5y equals 11. But for the confirmation I have used it, but it is not necessary for the calculation. Therefore, if I now use these values, here we can see this is the matrix A. This is what we are considering as vector X, and this is what we are considering as the constant matrix. Now we need to obtain the value for X and Y, but prior to obtain the values for X and Y, we need to check whether the system has finite solutions or not. To check whether the system has solutions or not, we need to check the determinant of the coefficient matrix. To check the determinant of the coefficient matrix, we can use this. It is 4, -2, 3 and -5. Then I will get the value as 4 times -5. It is -20, minus 3 times -2. It is -6. Now you can see that value is equal to -14, which is not equal to 0. Therefore, we can say that therefore the system has finite solutions. System has finite solutions. Once the system has finite solutions, then we can move for the calculation of these finite solutions. Now, what we can do is we are asked to obtain the values for x and y. Therefore, we need to obtain the value for x and we need to obtain the value for y as well. To obtain the value, here according to the theory, what we know is if we are having the ith variable, then it is denoted as 1, then we can say that it as x1 equals a1 over a, determinant of a1 over determinant of a. Therefore, using the similar manner, here we are having our variable as x. Therefore, I can write this as this is my variable x and it is divided by the determinant of a. Similar manner, I can obtain the y by taking the determinant of ay divided by determinant of a. Now we'll see how we can obtain the determinant of ax. Or prior to obtain the determinant, we need to identify the matrix as well. Okay, to identify the matrix ax, what we can do is first I have identified the matrix A in this form. Matrix, if I use another color, I have identified that matrix A is equal to 4, -2, 3 and -5. Therefore, The first column contains the coefficients of x and the second column contains the coefficient of y. Therefore, what I can do here is I can write it in this way. Now I need to find out the solution for x. Therefore, I will omit the coefficients associated with the x variable. Therefore, I am omitting the first column and then I am using the second column values only. It is -2 and -5. Then divide this by the determinant of a. Again, it is no need to find out the determinant. We have already calculated it here as -14. Now we have missed our first column. Therefore, it has to be replaced by the constant terms. It is the vector of constant terms. Therefore, this will be written as 10 and 11. Therefore, these are the values used for the first column. It is because we are going to calculate the values for variable x. Therefore, um, we have to replace the coefficients of the variable x by this constant term. Therefore, once you perform the calculation, we'll get it as, I'm taking this denominator as this way. It is 1 over -14. Then I will get this value as, it is 10 times -5. It is -50 minus -22. Therefore, once I perform the calculation, I will get this as -28 divided by -14, which equals to +2. Therefore, value of x will be equal to +2. Similar manner, we have to obtain the value for y as well. To obtain the determinant of ay, what I have to do is, here we are going to find out the value of variable y. Therefore, I have to remove or omit the column which contains the coefficients of the y variable. Therefore, I have to keep the coefficients of the x variable as it is. Values are 4 and 3. Then instead of the these values in y variable, I have to use it as 10 and 11. Therefore, I can now perform the calculation. Since I have already find out the determinant of A, then I will get it as 1 over -14. Then this value will be 4 into 11, 44 minus 30. It is now 14 divided by -14 equals to -1. Therefore, I can simply take the values of x and y as ordered pair. Here I am getting x comma y as 2 and -1. Therefore, this is how we are using the Cramer's rule to obtain the solutions for a system of linear equations. Here I have used what we are saying as the simplest method. It is 2 by 2 matrix. Therefore, we can extend this up to 3 by 3 matrix as well. I will take another example. Here I have just included in an exercise. I will take the first exercise. Therefore, if I take the first exercise, the values are given as -x plus 2y minus 3z equals 1 is actually plus 2y. Then next value is given as 2x plus z equals 0. 2x plus z equals 0. And then 3x minus 4y plus 4z equals 2. These are the set of equations that we have given. 3x minus 4y plus 4z equals. Okay, now we are asked to obtain the solution. Therefore, in here, what we need to do is first we need to convert this into system of or a matrix form. Therefore, we'll get it as Ax equals b. To convert this into matrix format, first we have to isolate all the terms, associate variables with one side and all the constant terms in another side. Here it has already arranged all the constant terms are now in the right hand side of the equation. Once it is arranged, then I can just realign the variables accordingly. Then I am considering my first variable as x, second as y, and third as z. Therefore, I can rearrange the variables in this form. It is minus x plus 2y minus 3z equals 1. Here I am having 2x plus z. I am writing z here and keeping a space. It is because second column is associated for y variable. Then I am getting here 3x minus 4y plus 4z equals 3. But for the easiness of the calculation, I will just replace this empty space by plus 0 times y. This does not make any harm. It is because 0 times y, the value gives as 0. This is used, it is because of only of the easiness of the calculation only. Therefore, now you can see that the variables for the first column, x variable, second column, y variable, third column, it is z variable. Now we can convert it easily into a system of into the matrix form. Therefore, we can convert this into matrix form. First matrix contains the coefficient, second contains the variables, and third contains the constant terms. Therefore, now we can see the variable order is x, y, and z. Therefore, I can take it as x, y, and z. I will take x, y, and z, and the constant terms are 1, 0, and 2. Now it is no need to change the orders. It is because now you have already rearranged rearrange the variables in the appropriate order. Therefore, first value is minus 1, it is 2, minus 3, plus 2, 0 and 1, 3, minus 4 and plus 4. Now we can see that this is what we are saying as uh, our matrix. Here, this is the matrix A, and this is the vector x, and this is supposed to be the constant vector. Therefore, what we have to do is first we need to check for the determinant of the matrix A. Therefore, we need to obtain the determinant of matrix A. To obtain the determinant, we can use the concept that we have used. Here it is minus 1 times. What we can do is the determinant of the remaining elements. It is 0 minus 4. It will become plus 4. Then minus 2 times. First row, second column cuts off. Then it is 8 minus 3. Then plus minus 3 times. We'll get it as minus 8 minus 0. Here, if you perform the calculation, we will get minus 4 here, then minus is 10 here, then you will get this as plus 24. Altogether, we are getting minus 14 plus 24 gives the value as 10. Now you can see that this value is differ from 0. Then we can say that determinant of A does not equal to 0, implies that the system has finite solutions. suppose that if this value becomes 0, then we can terminate the calculation at this point by saying that the system has no solutions or infinitely many solutions. Now we have, since we know that determinant of A is not equal 0, we can say that system has finite solutions. Therefore, we need to identify the values for x, y, and z respectively. Therefore, we need to identify the values for x, y, and z respectively. To get the value for x, we can take it as ax over determinant of A, then ay over determinant of A, then az over determinant of A. Now we need to identify what is actually this ax. Here we know that the first column stands for the x variable. We have already identified. First column stands for the x variable, second column for y variable, third column for z variable. Therefore, we can write down the values accordingly. Since we need to obtain the value for x variable, we have to omit the first column since it is the column associated with the coefficients of x variable. Then we will get it as 2, -3, 0, 1, -4, +4. Then we have to replace the elements of the first column by the constant terms. It is 1, 0, and 2. Then the entire determinant has to be divided by determinant of A. It is actual rather than saying determinant of A. I will use the value 10. Therefore, we can take it as 1 over 10. We can take the determinant of this value. We can take the determinant of this value and we can obtain the value of A. Then to obtain the value of Y, we can do this calculation. Here the denominator is 10. It is because it is the determinant. Then ay, it is now second column has to be replaced by the constant terms. For first column we have write it as -1, 2, and 3. Third column -3, 1, and 4. Then we have to replace it by the second column has to be replaced by 1, 0, and 2. Then we can continue the calculation. Again, we'll get it as 1 over 10. Then this value will come up by the calculation. Therefore, likewise, we can calculate the value of y as well. Then az can be obtained by replacing the third column. If you see the values, the first column contains -1, 2, and 3. Second column contains 2, 0, and 4. And third column has to be replaced with 1, 0, and 2. This has to be replaced with 1, 0, and 2. Then this has to be divided by 10. This equals to 1 over 10. And this has to be taken using the determinant, and in this way we can simply take the value of z. And you will be find out all these calculations here I have included. These are the calculations. You can refer for the last page for the solution of these two and try for these calculations by yourselves as well. And this is all what I need to discuss under matrices, and thank you all for participating in this session.